Welcome everyone to a look at another build. This is a Spectre 4 carbon build. I think it's the first Spectre 4 carbon that I've shown on the channel. Spectre 4 carbon and Aeternus are actually the same generation and the same design. The only difference is really the aesthetics, because Spectre 4 carbon has carbon fiber covers on the distribution plates and other parts of the case, whereas Aeternus has a few different versions, and some of them have satin black covers. One of them is a dark version with grey tinted distribution plates, and there's also a Valhalla white version. This is actually a custom special case that we did for this customer, and the theme is Top Gun Maverick's Darkstar SR-72 Blackbird prototype. I think the scene is near the beginning of the film where it shows the awesome SR-72 Blackbird prototype in flight, and that is the theme of this case. So we did custom PCB covers, and to go over the specifications, this dual loop side panel we're actually using on all of the Spectre 4 versions now. We've made this the standard dual loop side panel. We had various other ones with covers, and the older one had like a smaller cutout here for the window area. So on this latest version, we've gone as big as we can with the window while still maintaining enough reservoir volume to easily get the air out. So the window is a lot bigger, and we also have a Fan Guardian mount on the dual loop side panel, which you can see here. So that's the Fan Guardian power board controller, which is a touchscreen to control the lights and to monitor the important parts of the loop: temperatures, RPMs. And this case has all of the add-ons except one, so I'll just cover those now. So it has the dual loop side panel. The front Elite distribution plate comes with the case. The top one is an add-on. And then it has the PSU top shroud distribution plate, which you can hardly see in there below the GPU. And the add-on that it doesn't have is the rear I/O distribution plate, and I decided not to install that one in this build because it actually just covered a lot of the CPU water block and also this area here. So this is actually the first Intel build that we've done in a while. It's a 285K with a Z890 Hero motherboard, and also the first build that we've done with a memory water block in a long time. So this is actually 64 gig of G.Skill memory. I can't remember exactly which G.Skill memory I got for this, but it didn't have heat sinks, and that's what I wanted, because removing heat sinks is not so bad, but it's a little bit of a risky business. Like, you have to apply a lot of heat, and some of the adhesive TIM that the manufacturers use is quite difficult to remove. So yeah, removing heat sinks comes with a certain level of risk due to the heat that you have to apply and the pressure that you have to put on the memory, but it depends again on the memory brand and model. Also, the first build that we've used EK water blocks in for a long time. So we have EK CPU memory and GPU water blocks. This is an Astral. And then for storage, we have two 4 terabyte NVMe's. I think it's a Crucial T705 4 terabyte and a Samsung 990 Pro. The screen on the side comes with the case. This is an 8:64 display. This is actually our SingularityComputers display that we've made. And we have a link on our case pages to our collection of ADA displays now, and also in our manuals, but yeah, that's going to be updated. We've got a big collection, but we're going to keep adding more to it. So we have SingularityComputers fittings, which have been Cerakoted in Armor Black, and the customer wanted a very fittings heavy build. So you can see through this entire section here, I've used only fittings, no tube, and then we only have just this little bit of tube here, a little section of tube here going from the dual loop side panel down to the PSU top shroud distribution plate, and then 2 tubes over here going to the front radiator and front Elite distribution plate. And the customer actually wants these changed. He wants to do fittings for the bends on all of these, and so I'm going to be changing these 4 tubes to have 90-degree fittings for the bends. These two are a little bit difficult to do that on because it's not just a straight 90 degree, they're actually offsets as well, as you can see, but you can do an offset with a 90-degree dual rotary fitting. So yeah, definitely going to be fittings heavy, but this is kind of to fit the theme as well, and you know, the loop needed to look very clean with no long lengths of tube and, you know, a ton of bends everywhere. So we have black coolant, and this is our diffusion coolant. And interestingly, how you make black coolant is just by adding all of the colors, but you have to get a perfect balance. So it's a lot of blue dye, and then it's a bit of our yellow dye and a bit of our red dye. Not too much red, the red is very strong. You can actually make gray coolant this way as well, but gray never looks that good when it's transparent. You know, it needs to be a particle coolant, because if you can see through it, the gray kind of, you know, it's just very light in color and it just looks a bit strange. And gray is like really hard to make. It's really hard to get a balance where it's not too green, too brown. So, but you know, I have done it before, but it is fun to play around with dyeing coolant, different colors. I think at this point, my favorite color that I've ever done would be the one that I did on Void. And it was actually pink coolant, but I put Mayhem's clear UV blue dye in it. So it was pink, but under UV light, it had like glowing blue in it as well. And you know, as you moved around the build, the blue would kind of appear in different places. So it just looked really cool. So to look at the customization that we've done on this one, we have this nice big opening on the distribution, the front and top distribution plates on Spectre 4 carbon, so it was a good opportunity to make it look like an intake or something. And so we have custom PCB covers with LEDs on the inside which shine on the dust filter. And then again at the top. And looking around the back here, we have more custom PCB covers. So these two PCB covers on the left here are actually stock. They come with the case like this. But then these two over here are obviously custom. And these actually don't have LEDs. They're just PCBs. And then this one at the top here with a lot of cutouts for the fan behind it. So that fan blows cold air directly on the back of the CPU socket. And you can see I have it spinning nice and slow at the moment. I think it's sitting around 500 RPM at idle, all of the fans. And the RPM is being managed by the power board, the temperature-based RPM control, which is being controlled by the coolant temperatures. And I say temperatures because this system has dual loops, one for the CPU and one for the GPU. So you can see Spectre 4 Carbon has a lot of carbon fiber covers. We have one here, a couple at the top there, one on the top distribution plate, one on the front. Then it has one on the screen here on the front. We didn't want to put any on the dual loop side panel on this version because we wanted to maintain as much transparency as possible. With black coolant, this doesn't really make any difference because you can't see through it. But you know, we wanted to expand the window as much as possible and also have as much transparency as we could on the dual loop side panel and not have all of these covers like we did on previous versions such as Avum and Avum Dark, where a lot of the dual loop side panel was covered up. So running the temperature-based RPM control for the two loops from the power board here, and you can see all of the things that you need to know. We have in the middle the ambient temperature, and this is actually read from the Fan Guardian itself. That's where the temperature sensor is. And then we have the two loop temperatures for the CPU and GPU loops. So temp 1 is the CPU loop, temp 2 is the GPU loop. And then we have fan 1, pump 1, that's for the CPU loop, and then pump 2 and fan 2, which is for the GPU loop. And then from here, you can control the lights. You can set up alerts with different light colors. You can change the themes of the Fan Guardian. So it's running very cool and quiet, just idling, keeping in mind the high ambient temperature that we have in this part of the world. But I've turned down all of the potentiometers, which on Spectre 4 Carbon are actually around the back behind one of the PCB covers. So I've turned them down to the minimum. So I won't go into the full details on the inbuilt RPM curves, but yeah, if you turn everything down to the minimum, it will run very quiet when it's idling, when it's cool, but it will still ramp up when it needs to as the coolant temperature rises.